It's 6:30. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Awards, announcements, and special recognition. First, we have a Floy Far Exhibit and the library's 50th anniversary. Jill Prouty, our library director.
Thank you. Can I turn this a little? So we're so excited to be here tonight to tell you about this exhibit that we have been working on for it's probably been 3 years now. We had an anonymous donor make a contribution to the Friends of the Peachtree City Library, and they were interested in honoring our founders, Floy Far and Joel Cowan. And so this exhibit has been a long time coming. And I have somebody with me here tonight, Maggie Soper. She worked on this exhibit with us to earn her Girl Scout Gold Award. So I am going to let her tell you a little bit more about it. Maggie, by the way, is a senior at McIntosh High School.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I submitted my proposal to the Girl Scout Council of Greater Atlanta in December of 2022. It was approved in January of 2023, and I started working with Lee Ezra, the president of the Friends of the Library and retired archivist, in March of 2023. With Lee's expert help and guidance, I spent the year researching Floy Far's background using resources in the Joel Cowan History Room. These resources include numerous documents, images, and interviews. In late February of this year, Miss Jill, Mr. Wilson, and I visited UGA's Haggard Rare Book and Manuscript Library to talk to experts about designing exhibits. We spent the spring and summer fine-tuning the details of the exhibit while Mr. Wilson brought all the elements together into what you see today. I'm very excited to give you a preview of this exhibit tonight. It is a result of many hours of collaborative effort between Miss Lee, Miss Jill, Mr. Wilson, and myself.
Okay, where is Mr. Wilson? There he is. Wilson. So as Maggie said, this has really been a collaborative effort. And if you would go ahead and put the first image up. Okay. So these are what the exhibit panels look like. We don't have them to show you tonight. They are at the printer currently, and they should be arriving next week. But we wanted to give you a preview of what this exhibit looks like. As Maggie said, a lot of work went into this. Wilson and I were literally joined at the hip to kind of put the polish on it these past couple of weeks. And the reason why the panels aren't here tonight, part of the reason why is I got COVID, and then of course Wilson got COVID, so sorry Wilson. So I was out 1 week, he was out the next week, and I keep teasing Jasmine that I'm gonna take him away to the library because he and I worked very closely together, and of course Maggie too. So we've had a lot of fun. But anyway, this is what the exhibit is going to look like. We will have an opening reception probably on the Monday before October 8th. Would you go to the next image, please? This is what it will look like actually in, the cassette. You see, to give you an idea of what it will look like, how big this exhibit is, if you'll go to the next image. There's Maggie standing next to a printout that's hanging in Wilson's office. So they're 6.5 feet tall. And we will have these in time for the library's 50th anniversary, which is coming up on October 8th, if you'll go to the next image. So October the 8th, we're going to be having a lot of fun things going on, including the Floy Far exhibit. We'll be reaffirming the Joel Cowan History Room with a new sign there. And you all know I talked about our oral history program that we produced the transcripts for those oral history interviews, worked with an intern this summer to do that. So we're going to have a lot of things going on the 8th. I hope to see everybody there. We'll even have a free gift for the first 500 people to walk through the doors that day. And if you'll go to the next, one last thing I would like to show you. This is a watercolor of the library by Fayette County artist Patsy Gullett, and she is donating the original, and we will be, the Friends, not we, but the Friends will be selling signed and numbered prints. There'll be 200 of them, so this will be on display on the 8th as well. So be on the lookout for the opening reception info. As I said, that'll be coming out here in the next couple of days, and then come on out and see us on the 8th. So, thank you. Do you have any questions?
I will just say good job, and it's nice to see Maggie here. I know her family. My daughter's also a senior at McIntosh, and they've moved up through the system together, so I've known her, and I love that you worked on this, and I love seeing you and your family here, so good job.
I want to say one thing too. A lot of people do not understand what a Girl Scout Gold Award entails. It's the equivalent of an Eagle Scout for Boy Scouts. And so this is quite an accomplishment, especially if they come up through the ranks and do the bronze and the silver and then the gold. I mean, it is a lot of work by the time they get done. And the big thing with the Girl Scout Gold Award is what you build has to be something that's going to remain in place and be continuing. Whereas the Boy Scouts sometimes just come in and build something and they're done. She has to make a component that continues it on. So it's quite good.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's an important point, is that this exhibit, while we will be featuring it during the week of the 50th anniversary, it will permanently be housed down in the Floy Far room, so it'll be part of that room for people, so people, when they're using that room, will actually be able to learn something about the guy it's named after. And that's one thing Maggie and I were talking about. I asked her earlier, what have you learned about? And she talked about Floy Far, being not just the guy the street's named after, right? And not just the banker. He was involved in a lot of different things in Fayette County, including the electrification of the county and telephone service. And, a lot of modern services we have today in this area are thanks to Floy Far. So, is that it?
Fantastic.
Thank
Why
you.
don't you Jill, why don't you stick with me at the podium, and we'll segue right into the proclamation for Peachtree City Reads Day. Then I don't have to stand there all by myself. This effort by the governor goes out to all the cities, all the municipalities in Georgia. We're celebrating Peachtree City Reads Day with this proclamation. Whereas literacy is not just an education issue, but an economic, workforce, and quality of life issue, it is also a predictor of future educational achievement, economic status, and lifelong health and well-being. Want to take the next one?
Sure. In 2023, 61% of Georgia rising fourth graders did not read proficiently, and research shows that children who are proficient readers by the end of the third grade are 4 times more likely to graduate from high school than their peers who are not reading on grade level.
And whereas the General Assembly recognized the importance of literacy skills with the passage of 2 bills in 2023, Senate Bill 2011 that created the Georgia Council on Literacy, and HB 538 that requires comprehensive education reforms for reading instruction in the science of reading.
Whereas understanding that collaborative efforts and strategic partnerships must be undertaken to effectively address literacy issues, the Georgia Municipal Association and its nonprofit organization, Georgia City Solutions, members of the Georgia General Assembly, and football champion, now-turned children's author Malcolm Mitchell partnered with the Georgia Council on Literacy to launch Georgia Reads at the 2024 GMA Annual Convention.
And whereas community involvement is essential to literacy improvements, and Georgia Reads will include recognizing 10 community partnerships that have increased literacy in the past 3 to 5 years as Georgia Reads communities.
And whereas September 30th, 2024 marks the date when all Georgians are encouraged to create awareness about the importance of reading and encourage community partnerships to promote future literacy improvements.
And whereas, together, we can improve Georgia's economic vitality, one book at a time. Now, therefore, I, Kim Leonard, Mayor, do proclaim September 30th, 2024 as Peachtree City Reads Day and encourage all residents, businesses, and community partners to help promote and elevate literacy as a community priority. So signed this day. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Vivian Lett. She is our Public Communications Manager for some very special awards.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council, and our beloved community. As mentioned, my name is Vivian Lett. I'm the Public Communications Manager for the city. It's an exciting time. We are truly demonstrating uncompromised excellence in our communications department, and I hope you share the same level of excitement as I do by bringing to your attention the accolades that Peachtree City has earned under the hard work, the guidance of the communications team. For those who may not know, the Telly Awards, it was founded in 1979, and the premise behind that accolade is they acknowledge local, regional, and cable videos for television. Since then, since the award has evolved, it has expanded into the digital platform, and it also includes private and public agencies who create branded content, documentary-style videos, and social media videos and more. I am so excited and proud to say that Peachtree City, this year in 2024, we have received 15 Telly Awards, and this includes 1 gold, 11 silver, and 3 bronze. So very excited about that. And as we continue to push forward and truly demonstrate our premise of uncompromised excellence, I do want to take the time to share with you just a few videos that have received such accolade. The first video is Your Vote Matters, and it is the winner of a silver award.
Oh, hey, did you know it's time to vote?
Peachtree City, now's the time to get involved.
City council elections are right around the corner.
But early voting is going on now.
Think this election doesn't matter much to your life? Think again.
City Council passes laws that affect both you and me.
There are no small elections. Check online for times and locations. Make a plan to vote.
Because your voice matters. What are you waiting for, Peachtree City? Get out and vote.
One fun fact about the Telly Awards. Mayor and Council, the Telly Awards received over 12,000 entries from across the state and around the world. And with that, it makes me so very proud to recognize one of the most talented creatives I've ever met in my tenure in this field. The following video is a recipient of the Gold Award. And the creative eye, the creative lens behind it is with us tonight. Before I bring her out, let's take a moment to take a look at what earned us the gold.
You might take a second today, or even a good minute, to think about veterans. Maybe you'll hug your grandpa or thank your neighbor for their service. But maybe it ends there. there is a thought about veterans that they served in a distant land, or they've seen things too big for words, and that perhaps that makes them unrelatable. But what you might not realize is how close they are in our neighborhoods, on our streets, how our community is molded by their presence, their experiences, their service. The men and women of our armed forces chose not to end their time of service there, but to pour it back into their home, our home. Today we honor them, not only for what their sacrifice meant for us, but for how their commitment to others still serves us today. From Peachtree City to all veterans, thank you.
Honorable Mayor and Council, it is my pleasure to bring up, as mentioned, a very talented young lady. I'd love to have this opportunity to celebrate with her and present her the gold. Miss Lauren Chambers.
And yes, Brad was in the video, and he's on our police force.
I didn't have anything prepared. I would just say that thank you to those of you who have indulged being in my videos, and I would just say it's fun to work here, which I think for a young person in the corporate world in 2024, I think is probably the biggest compliment you can give. It's just a fun workplace. And I want to thank Jasmine for indulging my ideas and for being an inspiring leader. And I just, I have a great time working with you guys, and I'm behind a camera, so I'm sweating. I don't like people looking at me, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. All right. Next on our agenda is public comment.
Madam Mayor, we have 10 people signed up to speak. The first is Ms. Lyn Lasher.
That's fine, wherever you're more comfortable. Sure.
Stacy, actually, can you, so that way they're directed, do you mind moving the podium? Thank you.
Good evening, Lyn Lasher, and I live in Peachtree City. I come before you tonight to humbly ask that you do not stoop to, in my opinion, the immaturity, irresponsibility, lack of regard for overall best interests of county citizens, and bullying behavior currently exhibited by our county commissioners. The shelter animals are poised to be caught in the barrage of shrapnel flying between the county and the city. The recent comments about removing the newly wrapped shelter trailer, which was wrapped to promote adoptions, opened the door for even more bickering. I understand there are ordinances, but there must be some compromises. I have no desire to step into the Crabapple Lane closure except to say I don't understand why the mayor of Tyrone refused the offer from our city to build a cart path that would have facilitated the young lady's safer journeys between her neighborhood to Dogwood Church and into Peachtree City. At the Board of Commissioners meeting on September 12th, Commissioner Maxwell made a very public showing confirming that no project listed on the grant request for the state funding for transportation improvements, the TIP, included any streets within Peachtree City or even touched our streets. He then stated it was just fine with him if they touched or helped Fayetteville or Tyrone. He also went on to say he had questions about the $150,000 intergovernmental agreement. It has to do with recreation. I don't know the details. But he indicated that he would be approaching that in the future as he and Mr. Gibbons discussed it from the dais. I believe there's more coming, more bad blood between our county and our city. I'm a member of the Fayette County Community Animal Task Force, and I'm asking for any support that Peachtree City can provide as we work to improve the welfare of animals. I'm sorry, we've had a rough week.
It's okay. It's okay.
They opened a $3.2 million shelter that was supposed to see us through 10 to 15 years, and it has not even seen us through 6 months. We are struggling to get adoptable animals out of there before they are euthanized. I ask you to please do whatever you can, and please don't stoop to their level. And the vote video was really apropos tonight. There's an election coming. Please put aside your political differences, please, and make good choices for the animals and for the citizens of this county. I ask you to do it on our behalf and on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next person to speak is John Riley.
We meet again. Ms. Mayor, Council, my name is John Riley, and I live, as you know, in the Retreat subdivision directly behind the Braylon Rec Center pickleball courts. It's been 3 months, so it's time for my quarterly report on pickleball noise in the neighborhood. I have a story to share tonight. I think it's a positive story, at least I hope you guys think so. I was playing pickleball at the Braylon courts a couple of weeks ago. One of the guys had been to the restroom, and when he came back, he asked me, "How far do you live from these courts?" I was just in that concrete bomb shelter of a restroom with no windows, and I couldn't believe how loud it was. Not just the game, but the yelling. I hadn't noticed that before. I explained that that restroom is 300 feet from the courts. My house is about 40 feet closer. My neighbors, about half that distance. He then asked me, "Are you going to move?" And here's where I hope the positive part starts. I said no, but if I did, would you buy my house? He said, "No way, are you kidding me?" I then told him that I had faith that the city was going to do the right thing and take care of the noise issue. I told him we've been working on this for 2.5 years and that the city had all the information they needed to do the right thing. They know the decibel level of pickleball is equivalent to freeway noise. They know it sounds like your neighbor is re-roofing their house all day, every day. They know the sound frequency is equivalent to that of the backup alarm on a garbage truck, which is meant to be annoying. They know public health departments around the country have shut down courts due to hypertensive health concerns for neighbors farther away than our homes. They know that even pickleball paddle manufacturers recommend courts be no closer than 500 feet from residences, not the 140 that my closest neighbors are. All right, I didn't actually say all that to him. But I did say, I have faith that the right thing will be done. I told him we were waiting for the rec master plan to be delivered. After that happens, we should see some action. There's been a slight delay, but that plan will be delivered, to my understanding, at the first council meeting in October. No matter the content of that plan, I hope that the city will build new courts and move to remedy the noise nuisance in our backyards, and do so with some sense of urgency. We've learned 2 things since these courts were ill-advisedly converted behind our homes. We've learned that pickleball is wildly popular. We've learned that pickleball is wildly noisy. Some say I'm going out on a limb here, but I have faith that the right thing will be done, and that it will be done as quickly as possible and feasible. I hope you prove me right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next person to speak is Blake Hayes.
Thank you. My name's Blake Hayes. I live in Double Trace Lane. I came to council to speak tonight primarily about an issue which you guys have already been copied on an email that I sent recently about a traffic complaint with the Peachtree City Police Department in the school zone. I just wanted to kind of put some stuff out on the record to clarify the fullness of that. First of all, big shout out to Chief Moon. I know she's received that complaint and she's going to investigate it, and I've never had any lack of faith that she will take whatever actions necessary to get to the bottom of it and resolve it. But the one thing that I kind of did want to go out and put on the record is just as far as, you know, making a complaint or even criticism of the city. Just want to be clear that that's not hatred, that's not anti-law enforcement, that's not anti-police, anti-veteran or anything like that of that nature. I'm a firm believer that iron sharpens iron. We're all in this together. The purposes of bringing something out, like I said, is just to get to the bottom of it and make rectifications as needed to address any issues that have come up. And I have full faith again that Chief Moon will be sure to do that. You know, when I come up here and I speak to the council about issues, whether it's good things, bad things, whatever, really one of the key things I want to make sure is clear as well is that everything that I talk about is I want it to be evidence based. And that's not to say that, you know, I know everything or that you know, even that I have all the facts in every situation. That's one thing I was clear to Chief Moon is you know, as the facts of the situation come out, you know, let's see it. I'm happy to be shown wrong with respect to what I had brought up as the complaint. But I just wanted it to be clear that, you know, I am coming from the perspective of you know, working in facts and reality. The other half of that is that it's always in good faith. Like I said, iron sharpens iron. We're just trying to get better in what we do here in the city. Every bit of staff, from police, engineering, recreation, whatever. You know, we're all human. Nobody's perfect. We can all get better. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Next person to speak is Mr. Evan Holfer.
Good evening. I would like to echo that was a great veterans video. So my name is Evan Holfer. I live in Tyrone, and I'm here to talk about my favorite Thursday evening activity lately is golf carts. So I live in Tyrone, but I want to give the perspective from Kedron Hills. We heard several months ago a number of Kedron Hills speakers come up here, and some spoke with an angry voice. I want to share a couple of other voices from Kedron Hills. We had 19 members from Kedron Hills reach out to us either via email, phone call, or through a petition. And I think their voices are not being heard. So I would like to share a letter that a gentleman asked me to read tonight because he feels intimidated if he comes up here himself. It says, "Dear Mayor and Council, we bought our house in Kedron Hills in 1999 and have been residents here for 25 years. I urge you to please consider reopening Crabapple Lane to our Tyrone neighbors. I originally wanted the road to remain open for both cars and golf carts. The closure limits our neighborhood to only one access point, the closest route to the county hospital, and points north to Atlanta. I also believe the decision was extremely selfish and unneighborly. Our neighborhood's push to close this access point was purely based on emotions, incomplete information, and relatively few facts. I was stunned to find out that our Kedron Hills HOA board rejected opportunities to discuss our neighborhood's golf cart access concerns with other stakeholders. Truly shameful. This open hostility is exactly why my wife and I, and others like us in the neighborhood, prefer not to publicly express our continued opposition to this closure. We do not want it to negatively impact relations with our neighbors. It is my understanding that prior to its closure, very few golf carts entered Kedron Hills from Tyrone. This is a minor issue we are fighting about, considering it only impacts a few homes in our neighborhood. I'm unaware of any other golf cart related problems occurring in Kedron Hills since I lived here, so this hardly seems like a valid concern to me. We undoubtedly have good people living in Kedron Hills, but elitism thrives here too. Every one of my neighbors bought their homes knowing that Crabapple Lane had connected through Kedron Hills for decades. I believe our current fight stems from changing demographics, just as our neighborhood fought rezoning to Sandy Creek High School. I am unaware of any other access points into Peachtree City neighborhoods that have similar closures. Why should we in Kedron Hills enjoy special status? This rubs me the wrong way out of principle. I'm sick and tired of having my reputation tarnished over something so ridiculous and petty. I hope the city gets sued over this and is forced to open the gate. If we are not careful, we may be forced to restore access to both golf carts and cars. As a Kedron Hills homeowner, voter, and taxpayer, I am asking you to act now to reopen Crabapple to golf carts before we are embarrassed any further. Sincerely, a Kedron Hills homeowner. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next person to speak is Ms. Holly Holfer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Holly Holfer, and I live on Gray Court in Tyrone. My daughter Lily is the sweet face that you see serving you in the Kedron Kroger every day. I'm not going to bore you again with facts or the misinformation surrounding the Crabapple Gate. Instead, I'm going to let the voices of your Peachtree City residents speak for themselves. Back in June, I delivered a petition to each one of you. That petition now includes 647 names of people that want the gate opened. 253 of those names live in Peachtree City specifically. 19 live in the Kedron Hills community, right where the gate is in question. From this petition, I have compiled a list of Peachtree City residents, your constituents, who have asked you to simply open the gate to golf carts. I believe that some of you have ignored their voices and are choosing to listen to a very small group in Kedron Hills, but not to the residents across your entire city. Beginning today, we will continue to inform the council of the growing number of Peachtree City residents that are demanding change. Again, I want to be clear that these comments are from Peachtree City residents only. We will read every name and every comment for as many meetings as it takes. We are going to withhold last names, but we have them if you're interested. I'm going to begin with the residents of Kedron Hills because I feel these individuals deserve to be heard loud and clear, and you need to know what they're saying without them fearing retribution. One Kedron Hills resident stated, "A single egress-ingress to Kedron Hills is foolish and impractical. A trip to Piedmont Fayette Hospital takes 10 minutes longer than before. Swim meets and filming already cause major traffic snarls on Loring Lane. Take down this ridiculous eyesore and reopen the road. It literally makes me not want to live here." Another resident shared, "I am a resident of Kedron Hills and am adamantly opposed to the closure of Crabapple Lane. Tear down that wall." Another wrote, "Because of the wall, I now have to drive through the entire neighborhood to leave, thus making more traffic for the entire front half of the neighborhood. I am now just one more car those residents could avoid ever seeing before the wall was built. They shot themselves in the foot with this one. Now the dog walkers and joggers get to see me zigzag past them on the way in and out where before they never had to see me." Another resident advised removing the wall would be a win-win for everyone. I think at this point we can all agree that would be true. Another Kedron Hills resident demanded, "Tear down that wall. This is crazy." A Kedron Hills resident thanked us for coordinating this effort. He said, "Only having one entrance in a very large neighborhood is unsafe and it doesn't make sense, so we need Crabapple open once again."
Your time has expired. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next to speak is Mr. Jeff Angelo.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Jeff Angelo, Peachtree City resident. I'm going to continue off where Ms. Holly Holfer left off. One more Kedron Hills resident. My parents live in Carnelian, a few houses down from the wall. We own businesses in Peachtree City and own a registered golf cart. I do not think it matters if the residents of Tyrone use Crabapple to access golf cart paths. If they pay an annual fee, they should have that access. They use it to get to Peachtree City businesses and pay for goods and services. Perhaps money used to build this wall should be used to fix the golf cart paths with giant holes and tree trunks sticking out of them. There are bigger problems than wanting to keep the golf cart paths to ourselves. That was the last Kedron Hills. There are 8 additional Kedron Hills residents signed a petition asking to reopen the gate, but I will not state their names and maintain their privacy. Other Peachtree City residents, Luann, I support this initiative 100%. John, this issue needs pursued until access is granted. Lori, allow me access to get to Tyrone from Peachtree City on my cart. Christian, what a shameful and divisive issue to have to contend with. Why no similar push on the south side of Peachtree City to access from High Grove, Whitewater, Wood Creek? Where are the stats to back up the safety and security claims for the Crabapple Gate? How much money has Fayette County withheld from Peachtree City over this issue? Why is the city council allowing a small number of Kedron Hills families to impact the rest of the city's finances and reputation? Brandon, I'm willing to help in this effort. Please reach out to me if I can be of help to this cause. Let's be neighbors and remove the wall. Cynthia, I live in Peachtree City, but I have a family who lives in Tyrone, and we would like to use the path. My 21-year-old niece there in Tyrone would like to go to her Peachtree City job at Target. I believe this qualifies as a very good reason to knock down the Great Wall of Peachtree City. Kim, I find it ironic that Kedron Hills is now being so exclusive. When they first built the subdivision, all homeowners agreed that their children would go to Tyrone schools to save on overcrowding in Peachtree City schools. That lasted minimal time, as they were the biggest screamers at the Board of Education meetings that they be drawn into Peachtree City schools. Once that happened, many neighborhoods that were there already had been here all along were then forced to be bused to different schools or different locations. I just find it ironic that Kedron Hills doesn't follow their own initial agreements, the rules, and now want to make new rules for other people to limit their access to Peachtree City. What a joke and hypocritical organization their HOA is. Lynn, I would like my Peachtree City teenager to be able to drive their cart back and forth from Tyrone. Lance, nowhere else in Peachtree City
Your time has
can an
expired.
HOA.
Thank you for your comment.
To be continued. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next to speak is Chris Beardsley.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'll pick up where Mr. Angelo left off. Lance said nowhere else in...
Can you just state where you live?
Sure,
Thank you.
107 Cabin Gate in
Thank you.
Roxbury. Lance said nowhere else in Peachtree City can an HOA shut down a golf cart path. Only the actions of a few well-to-do with ties to the city council could make this happen. I'm sure if a few Kedron Hills were made to put their names, addresses, and reasons down on as public record, the wall would come down. Carly said kids are unable to get to their grandparents now via golf cart. Driving on Tyrone roads puts them in an extremely dangerous situation. Very selfish of a few people in a neighborhood to be able to decide something for an entire city without having a clue who or how it impacts. Ellen said it's ridiculous to cut off golf cart traffic from neighboring cities. When they shop in Peachtree City, they are paying taxes and supporting our community. Christine said golf carts have access points to many neighborhoods and are used to get around Peachtree City. Kedron Hills should not be allowed to set a precedent. Jeff said, residents of Peachtree City for over 30 years, we were saddened to see the area close. We used to travel by golf cart frequently to visit friends and taxpayers on the other side of the wall. We understand and agree that through traffic by vehicle would be worrisome, but feel at least it should be open to golf carts who enjoy the path. Thank you. Jill said connectivity is a core value in our Peachtree City community. John said, I live in Peachtree City. My parents live in Tyrone, right across the street from the blocked road. It is, without a doubt, the dumbest way Peachtree City has ever spent money. Chris said, with no supporting evidence that this will reduce traffic or crime, the wall needs to come down. Lindsay said, stand by your statement in Peachtree City to remain a vibrant and welcoming community for generations to come. Jason said, I own property on both sides of the wall. The road is on publicly owned land. This wall infringes on the 14th article of the Georgia State Constitution and the 5th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. It does not meet the minimum standards for roadways and thoroughfares in Fayette County Municipal Code. Additionally, it endangers and slows access times for emergency services to the public. Fayette County, Tyrone town limits, and Peachtree City limits all overlap at this vital thoroughfare and access point, making it vital for citizens of all municipalities to be free and unrestricted on this route. Crispin said, I feel that anyone paying proper permit fees for non-residents should be entitled to use the path. Involvement of courts and legalese to resolve this is insane. Many other streets are equally inconvenienced by cart paths intersecting streets, and they are not blocked. This should have been considered before offended Kedron Hills residents bought their property. Brian said, the case ends with $1.7 million deficit to the community. No brainer. Catherine said, take down the wall. This is ridiculous and embarrassing. I won't start the next one, but.
Your time has expired.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next to speak is McKay Moore.
Hi, I've also come to talk about Crabapple Lane, which I believe needs to be opened with immediate effect. I live on Gulfview Drive. It's right over there. It's a major thoroughfare for traffic between Peachtree Parkway and Highway 74. It reminds me a lot of Smoke Rise, both neighborhoods that are major thoroughfares between Highway and Peachtree Parkway. To solve their problem, they built speed bumps. I don't see why a similar solution or some other compromise couldn't be found here. But this precedent is not my primary interest in reopening the road. I'm interested in this because I grew up in Kedron Hills. I went to school at Crabapple Lane, some of my teachers are here. Then I went to Bennett's Mill, then Booth, then McIntosh. Both Crabapple and Bennett's Mill have something special about them. Well, Bennett's Mill at the time did anyway. They're a bridge between communities. Peachtree City residents at both schools, when I went to it, were in the minority. Like most kids, my friends came from all over the county. I had friends in Tyrone, friends in Fayetteville, friends on Crabapple Lane. And that road is a really important place in my childhood. When I came back from college one time, I discovered the wall was there. And like many of the people here, I didn't know it was going to be there in advance. It just came out of nowhere. It made me really sad. I felt other people should know about it, so I put it on Google Maps and went back to college. And that was that. Didn't tell anyone about it. And I guess people were interested because I got hundreds and hundreds of messages. People just kept contacting me like, oh, you know something about this wall. Please help us. These people are still asking for help. In my personal life, growing up in Kedron Hills, I know many of the people who wanted this wall to exist. They're my coaches. They're my teachers. They're my friends at Thanksgiving. I've had many meals with them. And I respect all of them tremendously. I respect all of you tremendously. I think some of you are probably listening. In many areas of my upbringing, you've been a role model of kindness and servitude. And you've taught me that sharing is caring. You've helped me learn to communicate, to resolve my arguments. And you've imparted on me spiritual lessons, like to love my neighbor as myself. And I want you to know that trying to reconcile these people I know you are with what you've done to these victims, it really makes me sad. They're hurting, these people. Please, do what you can to help them. I know it stinks to stand alone. You have hundreds of people against you on this wall. But it's not too late to change your mind. You can help them. And to the council, I feel frustration. People on both sides, we come to you for help, and you sit here silently every meeting. You say nothing. Nothing. You've done nothing. It's been 4 years. As a politician, you're not just hired to feel sorry. You're hired to make things right. And it's hard. I know it's really hard. Doing your best and doing good are not always the same thing. But doing things,
your time
doing good
has
things,
expired.
that's your task.
Thank you for your
I
comment.
challenge you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. No, we're going to hold our applause. Thank you.
Next to speak is Darcy Beardsley.
My name is Darcy Beardsley. My family have been citizens of Peachtree City since 1998. My husband and I raised 4 wonderful children, no matter what he'll say about my youngest, here in the bubble. We have lived in the Pine Gate area, we've lived in the Wilshire area, and we've finally landed in the Crosstown area. In each of our moves, we had an opportunity to live elsewhere in the county, but we always stayed in Peachtree City, and the golf cart path was a big part of why we stayed here. Our children attended our amazing Fayette County schools, in particular Oak Grove, where we met the greatest teacher of all times, Mrs. Holfer. So I am here today in support of the Holfer family in their quest to have the gate that blocks the access to Peachtree City removed for all golf carts. However, while I'm here for the Holfers, I am also here in my support of my own family, how we use the golf cart path system. My parents live in a neighborhood just outside Peachtree City on the south side in Fayette County. We access their neighborhood through a neighborhood much like Kedron Hills, in that we have to drive through the neighborhood on city streets going into and out of their neighborhood. My concern is, and what it boils down to is this: when should we expect that our families will suffer what the Northside families are suffering? When should we expect to see the golf cart path blocked with a gate when our children use this golf cart to visit their grandparents, and they in turn use it to visit both myself and my sister's family? When their cousins come for the summer for Camp Granny, the golf carts that go back and forth through that time period are overwhelming. It's all day long and it's every day. I am certain that we are not the only family who has people who they love who don't live within the Peachtree City boundaries. The council set a precedent when you erected that gate. If you took action to block one golf cart path, you can take action to block the second one. And if you can block the second one, you will block them all. At this point, you took an action to put something in place. You can take an action to take something back. You can undo this precedent you set. I'm not a citizen who likes to send berating emotional emails or come in hot to council meetings. I do pay attention, and I do support, and I participate in our elections because I believe in this city government. I understand that your job is often difficult and unappreciated. However, this issue is not a difficult one for golf carts. Remove the gate. It's an easy and right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next to speak is Ms. Jill Clark Gardner.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Jill Clark. I live in Crestwind in Peachtree City. On September the 9th, I emailed Councilman Holland, and so I'm going to read to you from this email, and in the spirit of transparency, I have gone through it and I've clarified some of my statements in the email. So, Clint, I've been one of your most solid supporters. I met you when you were campaigning in Crestwind, and I was impressed with your message. I knew you stood politically for what I believed in. And now the turmoil over the closing of the cart path in Kedron Hills has me baffled. I am aware that a handicapped person, Lily, uses that path as a way to get to and from work. Since the closure, as if Lily's handicap isn't difficult enough, she has to endure major loss to her independence. Although Lily has a key to the lock that secures the gate, she has to pull up to the gate, get out of her cart, unlock the lock, push open the gate, get back in her cart, drive through the gate, get out of her cart, close the gate, lock it, and get back in her cart. Well, how about when it's raining or when it's cold or dark? None of us would like to do that, none of us. And it's just, you know, I can't imagine how difficult that is for sweet Lily. That is unacceptable and it's inhumane. And so, Clint, when you ran for election, many of my friends asked me whom to vote for because I researched political candidates. I sang your praises loudly, and those friends all voted for you. Now they think I sold them a bill of goods. It's embarrassing for me, and it's very awkward for me because I don't know what to say about this. This issue goes beyond politics, and it lands squarely in the lap of humanity. I'm told that you live in Kedron Hills and you don't want Tyrone riffraff riding their carts through your neighborhood. And also a particular demographic has been mentioned, and please say it ain't so, Clint. Say it ain't so. That doesn't sound like the man I was so impressed with, that I voted for, that I encouraged other people to vote for. Is that who you are? It's just astounding. Since you live in Kedron Hills, shouldn't you recuse yourself from it, from a conflict of interest? There is a movement afoot to make sure you don't get reelected, and it pains me to tell you that.
Your time has expired. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Last to speak is Ms. Briana Corretis.
Good evening, council members. My name is Briana, and I live at 119 Fenway in Braylon, the Braylon area, the crosstown. I moved here about almost 3 years ago with my 2 children, and shortly after moving to Peachtree City, my son was diagnosed with level 3 autism at 2 years old. Right away, I began intense therapy with him, the typical speech, ABA therapy that's recommended by most physicians. But my son loves to be outdoors. We are outside people. I noticed at a young age, about 2, he loved animals. We have a dog. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about chickens in my backyard. I don't have an HOA in my neighborhood, but I ignorantly had no idea about any ordinances for Peachtree City. So I got some and then got rid of them quickly. But I started looking into animal therapy for him, had been unsuccessful in finding anything close by where I could realistically go to work, take him to school now, take him to animal therapy. I want to ensure you that there's little to no harm in housing chickens in the backyard. I feel like there has to be a way to be able to keep track of people's chickens, but I had 2 chickens in my backyard for him. He really connected with them after I took him to go visit my friend who has like 50 chickens in Sonoya. So I just want to ensure there's no harm in having chickens, and it would bring a lot of meaningful experience to have that time for him if the ordinance did get changed. I know it's hopefully in the works, but I could also provide pictures. I kept a very clean space for my 2 chickens, large enough. I only live on a 0.2 acre lot, but I had a whole space for them that was bigger than, needed, honestly. So I imagine Peachtree City is a place where families can have the opportunity to grow and thrive together. And I'm not housing lions in my backyard. It was 2 chickens. So if that could change, and I would be willing to provide medical recommendations from his doctors that says animal therapy is best for him, or any recommendations for places close by. But I would love to house a couple chickens in my backyard for my autistic son. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of the public comments.
Thanks very much. Agenda changes, council?
No.
Minutes. Need my glasses. September 5th, 2024, City Council meeting minutes.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like to say that a correction needs to be made on the very last paragraph when Councilwoman Johnson made a motion that we change the meeting in February of 2025 from February 20th. The minutes say she asked to move it to the 17th, and she asked to move it to the 13th. So that needs to be corrected.
So noted. So can I get a motion to approve as corrected?
I make that motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda items. A, consider appointment to the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. B, consider appointment to the Planning Commission. C, consider appointment to the Transportation Advisory Group. D, Resolution 0919-2024 CAD Designation of Safety Coordinator. And E, Resolution 0919-2024 CAE Official Intent Government Finance Corporation Incorporated Lease Purchase. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for approval of the consent agenda A through E.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And before we go on to old agenda items, Peachtree City thrives on our volunteerism, and we have just approved a number of our citizens who are going to volunteer on our boards. If you're in the room when I call your name, will you please stand up, hold your applause for the moment. On our Convention and Visitors Bureau, we welcome Valerie Alexander. On our Planning Commission, we welcome Andrew Kriz, Ray Liotta, and Brett Haynes. And on our newly formed Transportation Advisory Group, we welcome Keith Larson, Paul Schultz, Vincent Banura, Robert Hendry, Alan Reeves, and Brian Bartal. Would you please join me in welcoming these volunteers to our committee? Thank you very much. Old agenda items, we have none. New agenda item A, 92408, additional repairs needed for Tennis Center Pro Shop walls. And we have Dave Borkowski.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. How many of us have enjoyed the joys and surprises of renovation projects and never had anything, go wrong with them? Probably nobody in the room. We're talking about the repairs at the Tennis Center Pro Shop tonight. It is one of the small buildings up front. We currently have a project to renovate this building and build new awnings and all that kind of stuff. And when we started work and the contractor started tearing apart the roof to make repairs, to put a new roof on and do some other work, they discovered what our building maintenance superintendent likes to call buried treasures. There was unknown issues behind the walls. We have significant amounts of rot in the studs and the plywood backing of the walls that was discovered during construction when they started. We learned some things on this project that back in the day when this building was built back in the 90s, the building codes were not what they were or what they are today. There was no waterproofing flashing or anything behind the walls. So this is what happens when you don't have the kind of codes that we have today. You get issues like this. This wouldn't necessarily happen today. But this was an unknown thing that we found because there was no indications on the inside of the building that there was any issues. We never had any water coming through the walls. We had roof leaks over the years in this facility, and we had done preliminary investigations before we went out to bid on this project, where we had basically the roof or the ceiling on the inside torn out so that we could do investigations and see if we had any significant issues. But this was one of those things that we didn't discover until we started working. So we had our architect come out, and we also had a building specialist come out to evaluate the issue, and their recommendation was basically to take all the wall coverings off on the whole building on the outside, take it down to the studs and basically rebuild the covering of the walls and replace rotted studs is the most economical solution for this problem. We had our architect draw up some details and everything and specifications, gave it to the contractor for a change order, and that's what we're requesting to be approved tonight, is a change order in the amount of $53,445 to make the necessary repairs on this building. We talked to the contractor. Basically, if this gets approved tonight, they will order the material. It'll probably be 2-3 weeks to get the material, and then another approximately 4 weeks to get all the wall work done and get back on track, because the project's basically been on hold because of this, to come up with a solution. So, are there any questions on this?
Council, questions? No.
Yep. Madam Mayor, may I make a motion to approve item A, 092408, additional repairs needed for tennis center pro shop walls of $53,445.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I apologize. Before we move on to the next item, I do have to embarrass Dave a little bit. Today is his birthday, so before he hands out.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's nice to be 30.
And no place else you'd rather celebrate, I'm quite sure. New agenda item, 92409, master lease purchase, lease schedule number 4.
Hi, Madam Mayor, Council. This is an annual cycle that we do every year. It starts with our budget cycle. We bring a list of capital items to be purchased over the next fiscal year, and then at the end of the year, we finance them. It starts with a budget cycle, and then in September, I bring the intent to finance, which y'all just approved for next year, for next year's capital equipment purchases. And now this is to finance the equipment that we have purchased over fiscal year 2024. The interest rate is 3.1643%. We are financing a principal of $2,688,074.64 with a principal with an interest of $228,848.16. So our total to pay back would be $2,916,922.80. This is just asking for council to approve the lease schedule number 4 for the cost of acquiring capital vehicles and equipment, and authorize the mayor to sign the documents and the mayor and council members to sign the city certificate of incumbency.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
You want us to make a motion?
I need a motion.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve item 092409, master lease purchase, lease schedule number 4. And do I need to use the
No.
dollar volume on this?
As presented.
As presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public hearing. A, variance request for 522 Viridian View for side setback encroachment.
Okay. When the public hearing is open, members of council become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. The mayor will then recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended and council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. Please wait to be recognized by the mayor. Come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. Keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. Address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Good evening. The applicant or the property that is making the request tonight is located at 522 Viridian View, which is in the Plantera subdivision. You can see here, it's highlighted here. It is zoned R12, which has a side setback requirement of 10 feet. So the request is to allow an encroachment of 2.2 feet into the 10-foot side setback in order to keep the newly constructed detached garage in its current location. So there is something, this particular request is not a normal request, so I wanted to give you some context as to what makes it a little bit different. So what you see here is when the permit was applied for, the plan that was submitted showed a 10.2 side setback. Our ordinance says that any proposed construction within 5 feet of a setback, we require an as-built survey, so that is what we did. You see here, though, on the front, this is the top half of a building permit, and you can see some of the stipulations there, one of which is the foundation survey. I will also want to point out, though, that other information that's provided on the front of this permit shows that the zoning is R1 and that the side setback is 7.5 feet. It also has a comment there about to verify this information with the plat. So the reason that this information is incorrect on the front of the permit is because when the data was input into our software in 2015, so 10 years ago, for unknown reason, I was not here at the time, the tax assessor codes were input as the zoning code. And this is actually a very common misconception. We get calls regularly, so much so that the tax assessor has now put red text on their website saying that their codes are not zoning district codes. So when I discovered this in 2018, when I got here, we had to go through a manual conversion process and go through every single property to make sure that the zoning that was listed correct. And what I have discovered and what the applicant brought to our attention was that we missed the entirety of Viridian View. And so all of those properties along there still said, up until we were notified that they were zoned R1, which is, again, we have an R1 zoning district, but so does the tax assessor, and so therefore is the error. And so that is the request, the context, the as-built survey, when it came in as part of a normal permit process. If you can go back one slide, please. So as part of our normal process, when we ask for an as-built, we put they cannot get any more inspections until this foundation survey is approved. We at staff level could not approve it because it would require a variance, and hence the applicant has come forward with that variance request.
Thank you. Is the applicant here, and would you care to share some comments?
Yes. My name's Tim Harper. I'm a builder here in Peachtree City. Been building here for 30-something years, and we applied for this permit for the accessory building at Mr. Mark Stoller's house at 522 Viridian View. And during the process of getting the permit approved, I presented it with a 10-foot, 2-inch setback. And then I got a call from the city, Kelly, that works at the city zoning and building permit office, said that she found out that the setbacks were 7.5 feet. So we went back and changed it to 7.5 feet, applied for the permit, and the permit was issued, both the building permit and the foundation permit. And we didn't realize this was a mistake until we got the as-built survey did. And it came back at 7.8 feet, so we're 2 foot, 2 inches over the required setback, which is I feel like it's just an error that happened, and it's a whole lot easier to get a variance and fix this than it would be to tear the man's garage down and move it. So we're asking for the variance of 2.2 feet. Ask you to consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this variance? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council? Council?
Could you just step up to the microphone for me?
Yes, ma'am.
What I'd like to know is, when you built when you did the initial drawing that you submitted, what caused you to understand that the setback was 10 feet?
Well, the setback, I called the city and asked them what the setbacks were. and they told me it was 10 feet. So we did our drawing based on the 10 feet.
And when
But
you're
I also got a call back from the city official there, who is Kelly, that works down there, who's evidently got the authority to answer the phone and answer questions, that the setbacks were 7.5 feet. So we made the changes on the drawing and resubmitted it, and that's when it was approved.
Robin, was a different drawing resubmitted then?
There were 3 different submittal reviews, and I pulled this drawing from the last and therefore the final approved plan, which was the 10.2 feet. So I do not have a copy of a plan showing a smaller setback. I can't move it to the next slide.
And also, we have letters from each neighbor on the left and the right stating that they do not have a problem with the variance if approved. And then also the homeowner association president signed a letter, and we have a copy of that also, if that would help.
Any other questions?
Can I?
Yeah, you didn't, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You were the homeowner, and neither one of you felt any kind of a need to have a survey done beforehand to see exactly where that property line was? Because I know when I moved into my house, I had no clue where the property line actually existed. I still haven't done a survey. I'm kind of in a mutual happy agreement with my neighbor on where we mow the grass to. But, you know, if I was gonna build a $90,000 garage anywhere close to a side or a rear setback, I would be getting a survey to make sure where that line was.
Well, the
It's
property
not
lines.
required, it's not required, I
Right.
understand that. But it's like, that's kind of where you end up in this kind of a situation.
Right.
When you're undertaking a huge construction project and not certain, and if where you thought the property line was, if it's actually 2 feet to the left of that,
No,
you'd
ma'am,
be-
it was not, we knew exactly where the property line was. The property line is very well marked. And we even pulled a string up the property line to make sure we were the right distance. We just had some misleading information that, and that's the reason we're standing here now, trying to correct it.
Okay.
Would you wanna let the property owner share a comment, please?
He's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I'm Mark Stroller. I do live on Viridian View in Planterra. And I did do a survey, and I do have a survey, but I think the whole problem arose. In fact, I went through my notes before I came here. Well before I started to build this or talk to Tim, I went down to the building office and was told it was 7.5 foot setback and 30 foot setback. When I was pulling up some notes from that, I still have the sticky note they gave me when I originally talked to them to see how far it is. It says left 7.5 and right 7.5. So I think it's an honest mistake. I mean, we would have built it if we knew that it was 10 feet, but Tim sees 7.5 foot on the foundation and the framing, and I guess that's what we did. But there's no ill intent on my part or the builder's part.
Thank you. Council, question?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Robin. This is just a flat-out mistake.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yep.
Okay? Our mistake. We made the mistake by not double, triple, and quadruple checking. Basically,
Well,
that's what
I
it
mean,
sounds like.
Right, so our database is incorrect and has incorrect information in it. And so our staff reported that incorrect information.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson?
No, I think what Councilman Holland makes sense. I think we have a citizen who was doing his best to work with the information that he was given, and he was given a permit, right?
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
at the time, he was working within what he thought was the correct guidelines, right?
Using that information on the front of the permit.
Okay.
In my opinion, if there's an issue between tax assessor codes and zoning codes, this was an honest mistake. Nobody intended it. There was nothing nefarious going on. They're 2 feet over the required setback through no fault of their own, and the neighbors are supportive, so I certainly will have no problem with this.
I typically don't like any kind of variances, but I think sometimes when you make a mistake, and an honest mistake about it, and it's on our fault, what we did, I've got to approve that.
Yeah. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve, let me get the right information, variance request for 522 Viridian Way for the side setback encroachments of 2 feet 2 inches or 2 feet 4 inches.
It's Viridian View, does that matter?
Viridian View? Okay,
As presented.
as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Council staff topics? Anybody?
I do.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I want to point out so that the citizens know and focus on the fact that there has been a change to the early voting dates and times. It is posted on the website. That's been updated. I know a lot of people have not found it, and it's not flashing up there on the front page yet. But the times for early voting have changed from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on all of the days that had been in place prior to Tuesday, when the Board of Elections added additional time on each day. Excuse me, the normal time was 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They extended it to 7 p.m., which should make it a little easier for those persons who are working to be able to get home and still vote early. The additional date that they added was Sunday, October 20th. Only that one Sunday, not the next Sunday also, just the 20th, but only from noon until 4 p.m. So those changes were approved by the Fayette County Board of Elections on Tuesday. And those are some interesting and somewhat significant changes.
All right, thank you.
Other thing,
I've got,
you can
you're
go
done.
and then I'll go back.
Okay, I've got one. I've been approached by a number of people in the city talking about golf cart speeds and accidents. And it's now gotten to the point where I know I'm driving on a golf cart. When someone comes the other way, I just pull off the road and let them go by. I don't take any chances. I've been too many close calls, and when I'm driving carefully. One of the things that was brought up, and I talked to the city manager about this, which is it's time for us to really seriously look at putting the decals on the front and the back of the golf carts, so that we can actually see if somebody tries to speed by and run you off the road, or hit your cart and takes off. At least you've got a chance to get the number off the back of the cart. So I think I'm asking the council here if you would entertain putting that at some time in the future. I know I've talked to the city manager. He thinks it's a good idea, but I think we need to get a little bit of council input to make sure it goes on the agenda at some time in the near future.
I think that's something that the Transportation Advisory Group is going to take on.
I
and we
agree
need to
with
let
that,
them
too.
convene and get their legs under them.
Okay, then I will defer it to the tag.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, that's all I had.
Ms. Brown?
No, I had the golf cart issue on my list also. I am also hoping that we can resolve the chicken issue, but I would like to say one other thing. Just a reminder in general to the public, and I know this is a touchy subject, but during public comment, I want everybody to understand it's a time for the public, as I well know, because I did it more than enough when I was part of the public and not on the dais. It's a time for anyone in the public, citizen, to step to the microphone and express their grievance or their wishes, desires, direction, whatever. It's very frustrating from the citizens' end to understand it's not a debate, it's not a Q&A period, there's no comment, and there's, no discussion that's going to happen. And I just want to remind everybody of that, because I can hear the frustration that people feel when you step up and you say what your issue is, and we sit here with stone cold faces on and not interact with you. It's not a debate, it's public comment. and that's all it is. And I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it is.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Councilmember Johnson?
I don't have anything.
Do we have executive session?
Yes, we do. We need to discuss pending or threatened litigation and personnel.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we go adjourn from this meeting and go into executive session for, am I saying it right?
We'll go
We're not
into-
adjourning.
We're not adjourning.
Not adjourning,
Go
okay,
into
going into
executive
executive session for litigation and personnel.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive session. Thank you.
So we don't use the word adjourn to go into it, we just take recess, is that the